There's a famous question regarding the names of the months used in the Jewish calendar, specifically the name of the month of Tammuz, which we just started. Tammuz is the name actually of an idolatry mentioned in the prophet Yechezkel. 8:14, Yechezkel says that the women used to gather outside the Jewish temple actually, mevakoises a Tammuz, literally to make the Tammuz cry. There are different explanations what this actually meant. And one of them, Rashi brings it, Tammuz was an idolatry that had in the eyes lead, the metal lead. So they used to burn inside of this thing a fire, and the lead melted, and it looked like it cried. It was asking, please serve me, please do offerings to me, and so on. Other opinions actually hold that people used to burn their children to this idolatry that represented actually the sun. And the women used to cry for those children being burnt alive to this idolatry. In any case, whatever the explanation was, everybody agrees it was an idolatry. It was called Tammuz. And there's a teaching by our sages, we should not actually mention the ideas and the words and the names of idolatries. We should not use them in order to point to anything or to allude to anything. So why do we have a month, a whole month, called Tammuz? It is an idolatry. One of the explanations is as follows. Ramban, Nachmanides mentions that the names of the months in the Torah itself are just numbers, first month and second month and so on. And we used to actually count the months, and it is a mitzvah, it's a commandment by God in Parshas Bo to actually have a calendar and count the months according to the going out of Egypt. Because we left Egypt in the month of Nisan, which is the first month, and we used to count the months like that, first month, second month, seventh, to the point as the seventh month is the month of Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the year, and so on. However, there's a verse in Irmyahu, another prophet. Irmyahu says something very interesting. In chapter 16, in two verses, 14 and 15, he mentions something interesting, that when we leave actually Babylon, to build the second temple and to reestablish the land of Israel and so on, in the times between the destruction of the first temple and the building of the second temple, Irmyahu says, it will come a day that we're not going to say, oh, thank you, God, that we left Egypt, that you took us out of Egypt. We're going to thank God that he took us out of Babylon, the land of the north. And you can go see what the verse says. That means that there's a switch between the destruction of the first temple and the building of the second temple, in which our sage is actually saying the Talmud, we elevated the names of the months for the Jewish year from Babylon. We took them from there and we brought them to Eretz Israel. And those are the names that we actually use today, including the word Tammuz. But you just explained to me that is the name of an idolatry. This is exactly the point of what it means. In the words of our sages, we elevated the names of the months from Babylon into Eretz Israel. That means the purpose of life, why was man put actually in earth by God, is to elevate even the lowest of the lowest into godliness. And there are many ways of doing this. The most simple one is when we actually use the world in order to serve God, using the objects of the world, we elevate those objects and we make them be holy objects. That means channels to reveal the divine presence in the world. And therefore, by us taking this word, Tammuz, which represented the sun, as I'll explain in a minute, what we can learn from out of that, by taking this word Tammuz and using it in a holy way to count the time, in order to know how to serve God, when to serve God, what to do exactly in every single day of the month, and so on, we actually elevate even that idolatry of the sun. Now, what does this idolatry of the sun mean? The basic idea is, it is mentioned in the Torah that the crop, and it's a known thing, crop actually grows out of the rays of the sun. We know light and the chlorophyll and all these things that the plant do, that makes the plants grow. So a person might think that the real source of blessing is nature. the sun by shining in the plants and so on, and vegetables, and makes them grow, and I eat that, and I have blessing in my stomach and in my life, I can live. I can have food. I can have money by selling my crops and so on. A person might think that the real source of all the crop and all the growing and all the money you have, all the well-being you have, is actually the sun. So comes the Torah and says, don't make the mistake. If you think that way, you're actually serving the sun and doing idolatry. The real and only source of blessing is God. And by us serving him through prayer, for instance, praising him, asking him, thanking him, through, again, as I said before, fulfilling the commandments as he wants and he expects from us, this is what is going actually to bless the crop and the pocket and the money and the health and everything that we need. May God give us the merit to make this change between the idolatry of Tammuz and the real meaning that it has for us, not to make the mistake that the source of blessing is the sun, quote unquote, rather to know and to live that the source of blessing is God.